Hey, this is Kathy again with SensibiliEssential.com. I'm here doing a do-it-yourself deodorant, and right behind me right here, if you can see, I have my homemade double boiler. I just put a stainless steel bowl into a about an inch of water, and right now I'm melting my beeswax because it takes a minute to melt these little jewels here, but I'll give you the recipe in just a second, but I wanted to go ahead and get this going. Alright, so now I like to melt my things first, the beeswax first because it takes a minute, and then I'll put in my coconut oil because it's also a thick consistency, not quite as thick as the beeswax, but I go ahead and I put that in there so that all this can start melting. Okay, so far, now my recipe that I'm actually doing, I've doubled, but for like 2 containers of deodorant, and I get these off of various places, Amazon is one. These are the ones I've used before and I'm recycling them. So for 2 containers, the recipe is 2 tablespoons of beeswax. Like I said, you melt them. These are the beeswax. I get these also online. You can look that up. And then I just put in half a cup of coconut oil. Again, I've doubled my recipe, but the recipe for 2 containers. So now I've got my beeswax and my coconut oil here. Let me show you. Alright, so I'm just melting this. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down, just so that everything mixes nicely together. The recipe says you can mix it, just go ahead and throw everything in a pot and melt it. But I like to get this first because that, like I said, that beeswax, especially if you think about wax, it takes a minute to melt. Okay, so I'm gonna, and you just kind of have to play with it and see what works best for you and how you melt it. All right, so while that's melting, you will also, I have here cornstarch. And calls for 3/4 of a cup of cornstarch and baking soda, 1/4 a cup of baking soda. And I've got everything measured out. And like I said, I've doubled that recipe for myself because I'm going to make more than 2 containers. But so as this is melting over here, one of the reasons I started making my own deodorant was because of the toxins that they put into our personal care products like deodorant and shampoo and things like that. So I'm just trying to, where I can, eliminate all that junk from my body and my life. So, oops, let me turn it down again. Okay, so anyway, and then it calls for 30 to 40 drops of essential oil, and that's completely up to you how you want to work that. I use purification because it is very good at eliminating odors. So I'm going to probably put 15 drops of purification in there. And then I'm going to add orange essential oil because it's also beneficial for many reasons, but also just to give the deodorant a fun smell. And then I'm also, it's open. I'm also going to use cedar wood because cedar wood is really good for the lymphatic system. And so since I'm putting this under my arms as deodorant, this added component of cedar wood is going to help with the lymphatic, the circulation of all those fluids in my body. So, all right, I'm going to see if I can do this without making a mess because I'm very messy when I do such as this, though. All right, so I'm going to slowly see if I... Let's see. So you get all the trial and error here. Live. Kind of live. Okay. I'm just going to see if I can work this out. Alright. Ooh, that's hot. Okay. So I've got my cornstarch here. So I'm going to slowly start adding this, and I'm going to keep it on my burner because I don't want all these beeswax to start melting, because then it's just going to be one just big mess. I've done this several times, and sometimes I do great and sometimes I don't, but it's still all worth it because aside from the mess I'm making, this is the best deodorant I have ever used, ever. And I've bought very expensive deodorants. I have bought all natural deodorants, and this is absolutely the best deodorant. I do not smell ever. I can work like a dog and just really and truly not smell. That's so weird, I know, but anyway, so, and I still sweat. It doesn't stop sweat because sweat is good. It's getting the yuck out of your body. You need to sweat. It controls your body temperature, etc. All right, now I'm going to add the baking soda. And I just keep playing with my temperature because I don't want it to boil over. And you can do it straight in a pot, a pot on the stove. It's just whatever you like the best. I just don't want all this sticking to a pot is the reason, especially the beeswax is the reason I do it in a homemade double boiler. So I'm going to try to get all this mixed. So the coconut oil in and of itself is really, really good. It's good for the skin. It's good for a lot of things as well. But it kind of helps the beeswax because, okay, let me start over. The beeswax makes the deodorant. That's what hardens it. It makes it a different texture. And so then the coconut oil, other than, it's good, but it kind of counteracts that so that it makes it not too solid. Does that make sense? And then the coconut, the coconut oil by itself, it would melt. It would melt if you had it out, in your purse or something like that. So, with the beeswax, it just, like I said, it just makes it the perfect consistency. And then the baking soda, that also helps with odor elimination. And then the cornstarch helps with absorbing moisture. So that is the reasoning behind these ingredients. And you wait to put your essential oils in there until I do after you take it off the heat. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my heat off because it's liquid now and everything. It's a little lumpy, but not too bad, and I'm kind of okay with that. I could, stay here for a while and get all the lumps out. But everything's blended very well. Okay, so I'm going to attempt this. Let's see. I'm going to use my handy dandy. Even if it gets wet, it's not going to burn me mitt. Hi! Yay! I did it. Okay. So here we go. And at this point is I'm going to go ahead and get my essential oils in there. And then you need to start pouring it up pretty quickly because that's going to start to get back to a hardening. So you don't want if it happens, just stick it back on the heat and loosen it up again. But I'm going to go ahead and do the oils. 1, 2, 3. And it's just really fun. You can do this with a group. Do this with your children. It's just fun. There's a lot of homeschoolers out there, and you can incorporate math and science, to stuff like this, and it's fun. It's just skills, just skills in cooking, that kind of a thing. So that's another, it's another good thing, and you save tons of money. I'm making this deodorant, and it's going to cost me pennies when it comes down to it, because of the ingredients. Like I said, I'm getting at least 4 containers of deodorant. And I'm using all natural products, so I don't have the toxins in there. Okay. That is still a little hot, so I'm going to put one right here for you to see. And I'm going to use a funnel just to help me with control, because I am so messy. Okay. And if you run out of containers, I have done that because for me, sometimes the recipe isn't accurate as far as what it says it'll make. And I've had extra, which is great. So I've just grabbed a little, a little plastic Tupperware dish or container and put the leftover in it. Oh, I know y'all are just seeing my arm right now. I apologize. Let me try to get this one over here. Anyway, and just keep, and then you can just take and use it, with your, dip it out with your fingers and use it. And some people do that anyway. Some people don't go through the trouble of these containers. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here, but I just wanted to show you how simple this is and cost effective and just really, really good for you. And if you have any questions or comments, and I'm going to read out the recipe one more time so that you can write it down. It is 2 tablespoons beeswax, 3/4 cup cornstarch, 1/4 cup baking soda, roughly 30 to 40 drops purification or any other oil or combination of oils, and 1/2 cup of coconut oil. And that's it. Simple, fun, and just really, really good stuff.